Hello, my name is Mary Vertangeli, and I will be presenting my case study for my client Luca. Luca is not his actual name, but for confidentiality purposes, it was changed. Luca is a 12-year-old male who lives in Philadelphia. He lives at home with his mother and father, who speak both English and Spanish. Luca has multiple diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, intellectual disability, speech language impairment, ADHD, partial genesis of the corpus callosum, and epilepsy. Luca takes multiple medications daily that would be for drooling, ADHD, and his appetite. Luca is primarily nonvocal. He does have multiple adapted signs that he uses on a daily basis. He does have an augmented alternative communication device, or an AAC device, that he uses daily to be able to communicate with us more in depth with. We are currently working on his navigation of the device and him being able to fully tell us what it is he wants. Besides, when he is in his speech session, we give him multiple opportunities and manning sessions throughout the whole day where he would be able to go through his device and tell us what his needs and wants are. Luca does currently have four different behaviors that we are keeping data on, which would be grabbing, hitting, finger picking, and disruptive behavior. The behavior that is of concern at the moment is that of his disruptive behavior. Now, Luca's disruptive behavior, the operational definition is any combination of two or more of the following, one being aggression. With him, aggression looks like hitting, grabbing, kicking, biting, pushing, pinching, or hair pulling. This would be in combination with running, flopping, throwing items, climbing, and/or crawling. This may include crying with or without tears, laughing, whining, and/or screaming. An example of Luca doing his disruptive behavior would be Luca trying to grab your arm, his staff's arm, while you are trying to redirect him. He may turn his body to the left or right and begin trying to grab at you, pinch you with his other hand. He may also begin to make whimper like sounds. He typically will be laughing or crying while he's doing this. A non-example is Luca participating in a group game activity that requires touching of peers by running and tagging others. Now, the response class for his disruptive behavior is attention-seeking behavior. So the function that was determined for his disruptive behavior is that of attention. The client will engage in disruptive behavior to gain attention from his staff when they do not have their undivided attention on him. An example of this response class would look like, say you're walking down the hallway and a staff member asks you a question, which would be Luca staff, which would then cause you to stop. Luca would first engage in grabbing his staff and get their attention. He would then follow this up by hitting them, grabbing them, and begin to scream or cry. So the rule-governed behavioral intervention that we chose to go with is a token economy system that consists of 3 stars. The way this works is Luca has all 3 stars to begin with. Before each task or transition, we go over what it is that is expected of him. We would say, okay, Luca, come sit for a table. Once he sits down, I would show him his token board that consists of the 3 stars already, and then I would point to his rules that are on the wall in front of him. I would say, remember, if you want to earn your choice after table, you need to follow your rules. You need to have safe hands, looking eyes, and listening ears. Though Luca does have 3 stars already on his token board, in order for him to lose a star, he has to engage in his disruptive behavior for a period of 10 seconds or longer, which would then cause me to pause his work timer. If I have to pause the timer, this leads to him losing a star. If this happens, I do remind him that if he loses all his stars, then he does not earn his choice, and we would then go on to the next thing on his work schedule. I would say, okay, Luca, you have 3 stars, and now you only had to have 2 left. If you lose those, then you won't be able to go ride the scooters outside or in the big room, and we'll work on our folding instead. Now, why was this intervention selected? Well, it was selected for a few reasons. One being to reinforce the desired behavior. The ultimate goal is to reduce Luca's disruptive behavior, as well as being done in a visual for Luca to be able to see that all he has to do to keep all his stars, or even just one, um, will get him his choice. So, the ways in which we implement the token economy system of Luca's 3 stars is done within 4 steps. We begin by making sure Luca is able to see his token board that displays the 3 stars. We want him to be able to see what it is he has to keep in order to earn his choice. Next, I will go over his rules. By going over his rules and what is to be expected of him and his behavior, lets him know that it is what he has to do in order to keep all of his stars. Once these 2 steps are complete, we will begin the task, whether it be table, transitioning to another room, or even just partaking in an activity. If Luca displays appropriate behavior and has at least 1 star left on his board, he will then earn his choice. If at any point he loses a star during the task at hand, I will remind him of how many stars he has left and what it is he is looking for. If Luca has disruptive behavior, his disruptive behavior has to last for more than 10 seconds for him to lose a star. If Luca loses all 3 stars during the task, then once the task has been completed, I would show him he has lost all his stars. He did not earn his choice, and that we will continue with the next item on his schedule. Once we got to the next task at hand, all 3 stars would be reset in hopes of Luca earning his choice. So the intervention that we had put into place had some positive outcomes that came along with it. The intervention had reduced Luca's instances of disruptive behavior. Before the intervention had been put into place, we could see days of Luca having 3.5 hours or more of disruptive behavior. It would be continuous and to the point of nothing that seemed to work to get this under control. After the intervention had been put into place, we see Luca having many less instances of disruptive behavior. It has been as low as 10 minutes up to an hour tops of disruptive behavior. I did just want to make a quick note that not all of the disruptive behavior is continuous. It can happen at different times, and it is the duration we are keeping track of. So when I state 10 minutes or 3 hours, it is the total duration for that day and not just a continuous disruptive behavior instance. There were a few obstacles that we did run into. The first being that Luca did show instances of not being reinforced. He seemed to become indecisive at times when he did, in fact, earn his choice. This sometimes led to him having behavior since he wasn't able to get across to us what it is he wanted at that moment. Another obstacle that we ran into was wait time during task demands. It seemed that when he had to wait for a task to be set up or brought out, he would engage in disruptive behavior. However, when everything was out, ready, and easily grabbed, Luca had lower instances of engaging in disruptive behavior. Thank you for joining me on my case study for presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.